Will it be all Hoosiers or will Miami surprise everybody again? Jacob Goins of Locked On Hoosiers is here to discuss the national championship game Monday night at the Orange Bowl. Isn't it so college football, Goins, that this game is being played at a team's home stadium
It's so
by
dumb.
accident?
Yes,
It's not like the NBA Finals where Game 7
right.
has been by design played on a team's home court. This is just, guess so.
Yeah, which is why we really can't be mad about it. I mean, until the Niners dropped an egg against the Seattle Seahawks, they had a chance to play the Super Bowl in their home stadium. So nice. And so it's just the luck of the draw. It is what it is. But here's the cool thing, Spencer. Indiana fans will have more people there than Miami fans because they don't go to their own games and it's even in their backyard. So Indiana fans will have that place packed out, ready to go. You guys saw and heard what Mercedes-Benz looked like just a couple of weeks ago.
That wasn't Autzen Stadium, though. I remember what that game looked like, and it wasn't a majority Indiana fans.
I've seen bowl games with more fans there than Miami football home games, brother. Like, it'll be red throughout that place. Will Miami fans come out because it's the Natty? Of course they will, and they should, and they'll support their team. I'm just saying it won't have this crazy home field advantage. It is what it is playing at Miami Stadium, but I think I heard, and I don't have confirmation on this, I think I heard that they're putting Miami on the opposing sidelines, on the visitor sidelines, even though it's in their home stadium, which I think is a good idea. Put them in the opposing sideline, opposing locker room, at least try to level the playing field from that perspective.
Yeah, and the question then becomes, how can Miami level it during the actual game? I think there are plenty of folks that think Indiana is just going to absolutely dominate. I gave a score prediction last week. Throw that one out. I had an entire weekend to let it marinate. I'll have one later on. I'm just going to play devil's advocate here, Goins, just because I like bugging you. It's one of my favorite pastimes, if I'm being honest. So I'm going to go full as if I thought Miami were going to win the game. I think it will be Indiana, but I'm just gonna go to the other side. Are you prepared for that particular run of arguments?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Miami has the best edge tandem in all of college football, and Indiana has not seen a front like that. That includes Oregon and Ohio State, who are very good, but the NFL draft scouting community will tell you that Akeem Mesidor and Ruben Bain are a better tandem. Are Indiana's tackles ready for that?
I think they're ready. I agree that it will be the best defensive front that Indiana has seen, but it's not the only good defensive front that they have seen. You mentioned Oregon, you mentioned Ohio State, even Alabama, which their talent on the defensive front, it was not to what those other teams are, but this isn't going to be just some catastrophic, significant jump. It's a jump, for sure, but this isn't the first good defensive line that Indiana has seen this year. And so they got to play their best game, sure, but I think that Indiana will also orchestrate the offense around that idea, knowing that they don't have 3, 4, 5 seconds for Fernando Mendoza to dance around in the pocket and make deep plays or wait for crossing routes to come open. He's going to have to get rid of the football, but you can also run the football, and Indiana loves to do that, and I know Miami can stop it, but Indiana's committed to it. That's what I love, is Roman, Hemby, Kalon Black, they will feed those guys until the game is over, whether it's working or not. And a team that stays committed to the run, they break through eventually, and you take off the stress of Fernando Mendoza. You also allow him to have dump-offs, easy routes, quick routes as well. So Indiana's got to play good, but my goal is, or I guess my note would be, just stay away from those guys and don't let them make an impact on the game, because they absolutely can.
I think it's easier said than done, to be sure. Let me throw another one at you. Bryant Haynes should win the Broyles Award. If he doesn't, we're canceling the award. I will be staging an official protest. I will be grabbing the trophy of whoever wins it. I will be breaking it. This will be the most ridiculous. It would be insane, frankly. And look, Corey Heatherman, Miami's defense coordinator, should probably finish second.
Yeah.
The turnaround from last year has been absolutely wild. Let me throw this one at you, though. Ty Simpson, who Indiana played in the last 3 wins for Indiana, have come against Julian Sain, Ty Simpson, and Dante Moore. All 3 guys are starters this year for the first time in their college football careers. And what has made Bryant Haynes so good is his ability to run a complex set of schemes that confuses young quarterbacks, causes the ball to go where it shouldn't. They don't see the field particularly well. Insert Carson Beck, a 7th-year veteran in college football who's played more than a few games. Of the group, I don't know that Beck is the most gifted. I don't think he'd be, if you lined up those 3 guys, if you lined up those 3 guys and went to the NFL draft combine, I think Carson Beck is finishing 3rd. But guess what? This is college football. Yeah. And sometimes it just doesn't matter. So how do you see that chess match playing out? Because I think Beck is far more capable of slicing and dicing the defense mentally than Dante Moore was, who struggled with it twice this year, than Julian Sayin was, or even than Ty Simpson was as well. And Simpson's kind of, he's a veteran, but he's not a veteran because he hadn't played a whole heck of a lot. Anyway, go ahead and respond to that devil's advocate. What am I trying to say?
Ooh, yeah, you're leaving that in? You should.
Yeah, I am, but like,
it's okay. I'll take over.
You know what I'm going
all right.
for.
Grab a sip of water or something. Aren't those things you said, though, about Indiana's defense with opposing quarterbacks, right? Bringing the scheme, bringing pressure from areas you don't think of, disguising pressure, aggressive at the football, forcing turnovers. Aren't those all the things that make Carson Beck the turnover-prone guy that he is? Aren't those the things that have gotten Carson Beck in trouble several times during his college career? And give the guy credit. He's playing his best football right now. Going into the national championship game, he didn't play good against Texas A&M, but he won. He didn't play great against Ohio State, but he won. And then he had great stats against Ole Miss, and they won. But this is also the best defense he will see this year, and I think that gives Indiana the advantage as well. I'm not going down the road, the beaten path that everybody has taken, that, Carson Beck's got a blow-up game coming. He's throwing 18 picks. No, but I do think he makes mistakes. And, Spencer, there is not a better team in college football that forces turnovers and capitalizes on turnovers than the Indiana Hoosiers. That's why Bryant Haynes is making $3 million a year as a defensive coordinator. That's why Mike Shanahan's making almost $2 million as the offensive coordinator. They just all work together, and I think those things will have Carson Beck not on his A game, and I think Indiana can take him down and take down Miami unless he just plays the game of his career on Monday night.
The collection of coordinators in this game, ridiculously strong.
Oh, yeah.
Everywhere you look. Shannon Dawson, great track record. I feel like he's adapted so much this year to not always having your quarterback there to bail you out as Cam Ward did last year. I think he's had to be sharper in that regard. He's had to lean on the run game a little bit more at times. Mark Fletcher looks the best running the football as he has, or better than he has really all season long over the last couple of games. I thought that he'd have a big day against Ole Miss, and he did. And that's a big reason why Miami has propelled themselves into this particular position. So I have a couple more points to throw at Goins. We'll see how he responds. Then we'll make our predictions for the national championship game. That's coming up next. First, this episode brought to you by our friends at FanDuel. The college football playoff has got just one game left, and FanDuel is giving all customers even more ways to get in on the action every single game day of the playoffs. Because right now, every college football playoff game day, FanDuel users get a profit boost waiting for them in the app. Here's what you love about it. You get to use the profit boost on the bets that you already feel good about. You can ride with the favorite, which is Indiana, of course, by 8.5 points, if you think they're going to control the Hurricanes. Or you take a shot on the underdog Miami Hurricanes if you feel an upset coming, or if you at least think they're going to keep it close. Then you apply the profit boost and you go after even bigger winnings. And when you win, FanDuel pays out instantly, which is perfect for playoff football. So whatever you want, FanDuel's got you covered. NBA, NFL, college football. At some point, over-unders for college football are going to be provided by FanDuel. There are already a couple over there, and guess what? I can't wait for that. That's going to be exciting stuff. See what the odds makers think about your team. FanDuel has got you covered for everything you want. FanDuel is the best place to get into the action all playoff long. There's only one chance left for college football. So visit FanDuel.com to get your college football playoff profit boosts every game day. Check them out at FanDuel.com. First, this episode brought to you by our friends at TurboTax. Tax season doesn't have to take over your life. This year, TurboTax is making it easier than ever to just hand things off and move on with your day. With TurboTax Full Service, you can have your taxes done for you by a trusted local expert, start to finish, without the stress or the guesswork. Instead of spending hours trying to figure out forms, you can meet with a local TurboTax expert in person, or you can connect online. I could do it from this very setup that I'm bringing this show to you from. They handle everything from W-2s to self-employed forms and work to get you every deduction possible. TurboTax is making tax season easier, so make sure you go and check them out today. For a limited time, you can have your taxes done by a local TurboTax expert for just $150 all in. If a TurboTax expert didn't file for you last year, just file by February 28th. That's February 28th, important date to know. Take taxes off your plate and get back to your life with TurboTax. Visit TurboTax.com/local to book your appointment today. Make your tax life easier. TurboTax.com/local. I've got 2 more points to raise, Goins, in this national championship game. The first, Fernando Mendoza's got to be due for an off day. Right now, I don't even know how much I can get into that. He's been so outrageously good, perhaps the most often repeated and justifiably so stat in the last week has been more touchdowns than incompletions. Look, I think he'll have more incompletions than touchdowns in this game. I don't think it'll be by a lot because Miami's pass defense has improved tremendously. Their 2 edges are a big part of that, applying pressure on quarterbacks. But once you make those 50-50 balls into 80-20 balls, it just becomes such a difficult offense to defend. So is there any at all reason for Indiana fans to think, well, Mendoza might go out there and drop a dud?
It's no, I guess no. I mean, it's just, we haven't seen it, right? And what I keep telling people is, because it's funny, because I mentioned it in the first segment, how everybody's talking about the Carson Beck blow up, but nobody's talking about what happens if Fernando Mendoza doesn't play well. Indiana might just be, SOL. And the idea, or I guess the fact of the matter is, he hasn't had just a horrible game all year long. He's had some games that he didn't look like the Heisman Trophy winner, but he always has a Heisman moment. He had a Heisman moment against Iowa. He had a Heisman moment against Penn State. He had a Heisman moment against Oregon. And he has done that all season long, even in the games where he hasn't looked his best. And take the Ohio State game, for example. That was a 13-10 game where Indiana wins by a field goal. Did he look insane? No, but he won, and he made plays, and he made throws. And when you needed a drive, Indiana goes on one. And so even if this game on Monday is sloppy, nasty, defenses, punts going back and forth, and nobody can seem to get any momentum, and it's the 4th quarter, and you're asking me who to bet on to go on a game-winning drive, is it Carson Beck against the Indiana defense or Fernando Mendoza against the Miami defense? I'm taking the Heisman Trophy winner, man. I'm taking Mendoza. But that Miami secondary is worrisome. They remind me of Indiana secondary. They're aggressive. They get after the football. They attack the football, and they're always looking to make a play, not just tackling in the open field, and so, or deflecting passes or whatever. So I think you'll see a little bit of pressing. I think you could see a big play or two from people cheating up and trying to make that big play in the national championship game. But no, I don't expect Fernando to have a dud, if you will. But I do think Miami is able to get to him a little bit, but I expect him to respond and be just fine.
I think Miami is as capable as any team in college football of disrupting Mendoza, because the number one way to throw a great quarterback off his rhythm is you got to move him off his spot. You got to make him uncomfortable. Penn State sacked him 3 times in that game that came down to the wire, of course, and gave Mendoza one of several Heisman moments, as you mentioned. But the other thing that stood out to me when I was going back and just kind of reliving that game and watching some of it, Nick Singleton had the one big run. Outside of that, didn't do a ton. But if he can go 10 carries for 71 yards, Mark Fletcher can do even more than that, and he'll see the ball in his hands far more often than just 10 times. And I think the Indiana linebackers are pretty underrated behind Aiden Fisher. I think those guys play incredibly well. They're vital to the scheme. They've got to be able to do a lot of things. They have to blitz. They have to cover plenty of ground. And I just think that they've been really good. But I come back to this Miami run game and say, man, they've got at least one, if not more, NFL guys on their offensive line. Their ground game is a key part of their head coach's identity. Their offensive line in particular has been a huge part of his identity's entire career as a football coach. And I think the best way as well to defend against Fernando Mendoza is to do kind of what they did against Ole Miss and have these 6-7 minute touchdown drives and make Mendoza watch it. And I think Miami is as capable of putting that game plan together and executing it as anybody that was in this playoff field.
I mean, it's the classic, your best defense is your offense. Yeah, go on long, methodical drives. And I think that's the formula, Spencer, to be honest with you, for either one of these teams to win this game is who can go out and, yes, hit the big play when it's there and take advantage of when the defense screws up. But which teams can just go on these drives and go play after play after play, pick up a first down, all 3rd and 2. Oh, well, here's a run up the middle. It's another first down. To just really wear down the opposing defense, and you're going to see those plays start to stack up for one of these defenses, if not both. And I think the team that's able to excel at that and then score and be fresh in the fourth quarter, I think that team is Indiana. But the good thing about the Hoosiers offense is they'll go on 12, 13, 14 play drives, or they'll go on 3 play drives and they'll hit the big shot and they'll beat you however they want to. So again, I just feel more confident in Indiana winning in more ways than I do Miami, who is still very good. They're here for a reason. They've got dudes everywhere. But I believe in Indiana to win in any fashion, big, small, lot of scoring, no scoring, defense, offense, special teams. I trust Indiana in those situations more than any other team in college football.
Miami is definitely the more likely team to beat themselves. If they don't, they can find a way to win. I just can't see Indiana all of a sudden imploding. I mean, that Oregon team was really good, and Indiana made them look like they didn't belong on the field for most of the game. And yeah, turnovers were a big part of it, but that's kind of what I'm talking about. Is Oregon, a young team, fell into that game and just fell apart with some of the turnovers, which is partially a credit to Indiana's defense. At times it was, and then at other times it was mishandling an RPO handoff exchange to throw the ball out wide, and Indiana's of course there to pounce on the football. The Hoosiers just don't make those sorts of mistakes. And if you give them any, you're not going to be able to come back from it. You just aren't. One more thing before we get to our predictions. I think in any big game like this, you can say third down is going to be huge. I want to go a little bit more specific than that. Going back to the long drives that I think Miami's got to be able to put together, kind of like Notre Dame did to begin the national championship game last year against Ohio State. 3rd and 3 or less. Miami's offense has to win those. If they're going to make those drives, whether you're running, throwing, or doing a mix of both, those are the plays, I think, early on that are going to give me a really good tell. Oh, okay, Miami can do this. Miami can hang. But if they're getting pushed around the line of scrimmage on a 3rd and 2, if they're lost in the sauce of Bryant Haynes' defensive play call on 3rd and 3 or 3rd and 4, then I'll say, oh, okay. Mm-hmm. Pack it up and go home.
Because in response, Indiana's offense, I just expect to run as it has all season long. Will
They're
it be
so good on third down.
Will it be slow out of the gate? Maybe. First drive may not go extremely great, but Indiana, it, Spencer, it doesn't take them long to get going at all. And once they start, it's like a stone down a hill, brother. Nothing can get in their way. They'll run over it. It doesn't matter. I'm not calling for the Hoosiers to put 60 on them. I'm just saying when they get in a rhythm and they find what works, they hammer it and hammer it and hammer it. And so you're right. 3rd and short for both teams will be phenomenal. That's where the big boys up front on either side, either team are going to have to stand strong. I think you'll know the winner and loser in that category by halftime. And most likely that team is winning at halftime. And most likely that team will go on to win it all.
I'm going 30-17 Indiana.
30-17. Really? You've been listening to Locked On Hoosiers, huh? That's what's going on. 31-17.
I spend my time wisely, so no, I haven't.
Very funny. 31-17's been my score since since the game.
Well,
About
that's
a day
very
or
different.
two after we knew the matchup, I looked into everything and came up 31-17. It's not very different. What are you talking
Very
about?
different. Very different scores.
Whatever.
Not even close.
31-17 is my score. You just wanted to be a little different, but you got your information from Locked On Hoosiers. You're a daily listener. I understand. You're a subscriber.
All right, that's Jacob Goins, Locked On Hoosiers. Great. As always, my man. Appreciate everyone listening. See you next time. And until then, hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day.